This PSA was brought to you by the Peter G Show.
You may have second thoughts after the show.
Don't drink the faucet. We're really talented. We should get Oscars.
Just pick out a car, for Christ's sake.
No, my name is Peter.
Yeah, I want.
Here's good.
Yeah.
Madam Perry.
I need to get back in the genie bottle.
Louis from Pennsylvania, you're on. He likes it. It's showtime.
Peter G Show, divorced dad, single dad, divorced dad, single dad, Peter G Show.
Hi, yes it is. It is showtime. Wednesday, right here, day after St. Patrick's Day. Hope many of you survived. It's every Wednesday, like clockwork, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. on the East Coast. God willing. Life with Peter G, the Peter G Show. I mentioned St. Patrick's Day because it was St. Patrick's Day not too long yesterday, and I got to tell you that St. Patrick's Day is not like the greatest day for me. That was like, I didn't get arrested with DUIs or nothing like that, but that's always, to me, it's like amateur night. I don't do, what do you call it? I don't do New Year's Eve. I mean, back in my music days, if I was playing for New Year's Eve, I'd play. But unless I'm at a hotel or something like that, I just don't want to be out with a bunch of yahoos messing around. To me, I've lived to tell about it, and you learn and you say, okay, now, if you want to live longer, just keep it nice and steady. But either way, St. Patrick's Day was, I started my divorce way back in 2009. On St. Patrick's Day. There's a story out there. If you go back in the archives, it's on YouTube. It's way on back. But I talked about it because it was the beginning of the end. And it just happened to fall on St. Patrick's Day. And it had nothing to do with drinking or anything like that. It was just the date. But anyway, how the hell is everybody? I hope everybody is doing well. I hope you had a good time. If you did celebrate St. Patrick's Day, again, to each their own. I just want you to have fun. And I want you to be safe. And I definitely want you to watch this show. Share with a friend. Don't forget to share with a friend. I do have a great show tonight. Speaking of show, tonight I have, now I've talked to this guy on and off, comments here and there for quite a while. And I've always been watching what he does and what he says because it interests me, because I've always known that there's a certain weirdness to the topic he talks about. And I don't know what happened. Maybe it was either the holidays or on his birthday. I send out a lot of birthday wishes and things like that. And he commented back and says, if you ever want to talk about what I do, talk about it. He says, we could have a great conversation. I said, you know what? You are absolutely right. And tonight, right here, and if everything hasn't fallen together with the times that we're living in and all that, tonight I have author and expert, Mr. Paul Sutliff, on the show right here. He's going to be on the show. He's got a book on top of being an expert and all that. He wrote a book about it. The cancer of civilization jihad, Islamism, and all that kind of stuff. We got a lot to talk about. I think there's a lot of people that don't really understand just how deep that ideology is. I mean, I know people have a grasp on it, but we're going to get into detail and more about it because I think it is he knows it when he put it right on his book, The Cancer of Civilization Jihad. So he's going to be on this show coming up in a few minutes. So stick around, share with your friends. You might want to, knowledge is power. Okay. Let's see what we got going on here. Oh, look, here's a happy customer. Hey, Pete. Hey, man. Technical support. Tuning in. It's good. Keep those pedals, keep pedaling that bicycle so we can keep the electricity on. And what else we got? Don't forget, you can comment. And if the comments are going, sometimes people comment, sometimes they don't. If you're on the official Facebook Peter G Show page, you can comment. If you're on the official YouTube page, because they haven't banned me yet, working on it, you can comment. If you're on the official LinkedIn page, you can comment. If you're commenting from any of the other 2 or 3 Facebook pages and stuff like that, unfortunately, I can't see them. So if you comment, go to the official Facebook Peter G Show page or the official YouTube or LinkedIn, and please do me a favor, hit the button. All right, hit that little follow, subscribe, or whatever button it says, and share. That's more important to me than following. But the bean counters, they like seeing numbers, and I tell them, who cares so long as people watch? You know that they're watching because those numbers show too. But they're kind of uptight, straightforward. So please do me that favor, all right? Also, hey, I just figured out today that spring starts on Friday. Spring starts on Friday. Last week it was daylight savings time, and now we're going to be into spring. Who knows? Maybe we'll even go to summer. Good thought. I'm starting to dig it already. In fact, today I was running behind because of the daylight. I'm thinking I had plenty of time, which is what I always think until I don't have plenty of time. But I digress. Again, the comments, let's go away from here. All right, I've been seeing a lot of things. I don't know if you watch. Again, that's my job. I watch a lot of things. Spring break over in Daytona is going a little bit awry already with the youth of our country. And there's a lot of videos coming out. And I'll talk about that next week, because next week, while we're on it, it'll be just us. I'll get to bring up all the current events and things that I want to talk about. And that's the problem. Only doing it now like once a month at the end of the month, I start chomping the bit because so much stuff is going on that by the time we get to the end of the month, a lot of it's old news, but there's new stuff coming in every day. But here we go. Pensacola in the house. I like that, Pensacola in the house. Thank you. Don't forget to share with your friends. Oh, here, look. Let's see what Terry's got to say. Hi, Terry. What's this show all about? Glad you asked. This is Life of Peter G, the Peter G Show, where every week we have a different topic. It's entertainment with a purpose. Tonight, if you want to stick around, I have expert and author of his book, The Cancer of Civilization Jihad. We're going to talk about Islamism and the good, the bad, and the ugly. And he's an expert on it. And he will explain it in detail and what it does and what it's doing. And is it good or is it bad? Last week, I had psychic medium Amy Bolesky on. She talked to dead people. I mean, every week it's something new. So that's what this show is all about, Terry. If you like it, please hit the follow button. Share with your friends, and I'll see you. And you can always comment, just like you did. And I appreciate you commenting. I do. See, she was inquisitive. She took the initiative. A lot of people don't do that. When I open up the phone line sometimes and I tell people to call, everybody's waiting for somebody else to call. It's the story of my life around here. Anyway, okay. So here's what are we doing? What are we doing? We are. Oh, so tonight starts something new. I think y'all like this. Y'all. It's not rubbing in already, all right? I said that because I've said y'all before I moved back to the Gulf Coast anyway. But I think you'll like this. Start with this is something new we got going on, and it's an astrological minute, a little bit of a cosmic connection, and it's brought to you by Moon Mistress Tarot. So here she is, and check her out.
Hello, my loves, and get ready. We have a triple reset happening in the cosmos, and here's how it's going to affect you. First, my darlings, on March 19th, we have our new moon in Pisces. New moons are new beginnings, babies, and they're time to set new intentions. Pisces is all about trusting your intuition, so following those dreams and desires, you'll be shown the way, my darlings. Going into March 20th, Mercury goes direct. Finally, no more communication hassles, technology hassles, and well, you know what they say, the X's will go back from where they came. Then starting on a new energy we have spring equinox happening, and that's all about the balance, babies. Things are going to start balancing out for you. So if they've seemed kind of chaotic and crazy, Mercury gone, and then we're bringing in this beautiful balance. Then Aries steps in and sets the fire. My darlings, this is the chance to make that action and get those things going. Money, honey, for sure. And then, oh yeah, there's the passion with the Aries energy. moonmistresstarot.com to find out how all of these beautiful things are going to affect you. And as always, back to you, Peter.
Back to me, Peter. Thank you, Moon Mistress Tarot. To find out more about your astrological journey and cosmic connections, go check out Moon Mistress Tarot at moonmistresstarot.com. Get a reading. Find out where your life is going. Spooky. She told me now that all the, I don't know, we were in some Mercury retrograde and, all the cosmic hassles now are going to be all put behind us. So I'll take it. No matter what kind of day it is, I plow through it anyway. But it's always a good day when I wake up. So remember that. Let's take a little sip first before we bring Paul onto the show. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Please share. That's the best thing you can do. Just share. All right. I love you guys. I always appreciate those who take the time. I know you have to be dedicated to sit down and watch a show like this for, an hour plus, or whether you tune in or 2 out. Don't forget, you can always take this show on the road. It's on audio podcast. Start, you can put an earbud in your ear while you're commuting in the car. In California, it's still, people are just coming and getting off of work. So that, and you can watch any of these shows on demand after this show is over. But live is always cool too. Isn't that right, Lonnie? Ooh, wait a minute. This is from Paul. Smooth. All right. Isn't that right, Mr. Butthead?
Smooth.
Yeah. Okay. Look, the moment I've been waiting for, and I hope that you'll appreciate it as much as I'm looking forward to this. I think you'll get a lot out of this. In fact, I know you will. I always learn something from everything, even driving school. I remember when I got a ticket, I had to go to driving school, and driving school is so boring. But I did walk out of there with something that never left me. I never forgot. This is way more important than driving school. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, Paul, if you're ready, I'm going to be bringing on the expert and author of his book, The Cancer, Civilization Jihad. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Paul Sutliff. How you doing, Paul?
Pretty good. Enjoying a beautiful day.
It is. Any day above ground's a good day.
I'm just tired of the cold. Out here in New York.
Yeah. Sorry about that. We can send some of that sunshine up your way, but you'll be out of it soon enough. Are you having to dig snow, or what's going on?
No, I didn't get any snow. We got dust. That's about it.
Yeah, but it's just flat out cold.
It would drop down to 11 this morning.
Oh. Yeah, I can see where that could be a problem. No, I know that maybe I've gotten spoiled with, living in California for so many years and things. And even now moving back to the Gulf Coast, it's just, I don't feel like doing much when it's really cold. Is that the way you feel?
I think that's a lot of people. A lot of kids don't even show up at schools. And it's normal these days.
Okay,
Things
so it's not
never thought about.
Yeah, it's not just me then. Okay, I thought maybe with age, and just not as bulletproof. I'm going, screw this. I don't have to be somewhere or do something, so I don't. But if I have to, I will. But that cold is, it messes with you. It goes right through the bone. You don't have the damp cold there, do you?
I don't know what a damp cold is, so I'm going to guess no.
Come to the Gulf Coast, and you'll know that it can get to 0 degree wind chill factor. Like last month, it got down to the pipes froze. So it gets pretty cold here for just a short period of time, but it's something about the way the wind comes off of the water, and it's a damp cold, not like a California dry cold or things like that. And it just kind of goes through your bones a little bit more.
Well, we call that, that's about the negative teens. That's where we start to get that here.
Oh, there you go. All right. So here's what we'll do. Why don't we take a minute? I want you to just give everybody a brief synopsis of who you are and what you do and how long you've been doing it, and then I got a lot of questions for you, so I hope you got time for me tonight.
I have been researching civilization jihad for about 15 years. I've been studying. I started originally just looking at the terrorism angle, the Muslim Brotherhood angle, because they were at my college where I graduated, where I got my master's, and I didn't know who they were until I started looking at a group called the International Institute of Islamic Thought, and I learned that they're connected to them. They are part of the Muslim Brotherhood. Then I learned that who the Muslim Brotherhood and then all these other organizations, there's like 40 of them that existed in the 90s. And here I am researching them, 15 years ago. It's not that long ago. And I'm finding all this stuff. And then I'm trying to figure out how could they give $500,000 to Nazareth College, which is now called Nazareth University in Rochester, New York. How could that happen? And they all of a sudden were in charge of the chapel. It had been a Catholic college, and now it's led by Muslims. It's crazy. I had lots of questions. I was part of a Patriot group. We offered to bring in a Holocaust survivor speaker. Oh, guess who was there to say no? The Islamic professor.
To speak?
Yeah, they denied. We were bringing him in free of charge.
Yeah.
We were paying for everything. And the college professor, who professes to be Jewish, allowed the Islamic professor to say, no, we're not doing it on our campus.
Huh. But the thing is, you just did more than just start asking questions. I mean, the way I've met you through LinkedIn and things like that is your continuity and proficiency of constantly putting out information. I started reading it. That's how I got to finding out about you.
For me, I've been doing research for, like I said, for 15 years, and what I learned is almost every week there is so much news out there that's relevant to the concept of civilization jihad. My first book talks about how, or I should say my second book talks about how there's 4 different stages, how they move in 4 different directions, and that's called Civilization Jihad and the Myth of Modern Islam. And while I'm saying that there's no such thing as Islamism, that's a word invented by someone like Zuhdi Jasser, so he can pretend that we're not talking about Islam. That's all we're talking about. There is no moderate Islam. There is no radical Islam. It's just Islam. So and the concept of Islamists that was created by the Muslim Brotherhood, particularly the International Institute of Islamic Thought. So we would pretend like there's a good Islam. So these are all terms created by the group that is trying to take over the United States, over Europe, it's silly that we are just listening to the enemy and accepting what they're saying is true. And the first place they move into is colleges and universities. They did this in Egypt. That was where they were first successful. That's where the Muslim Brotherhood started. They realized they were very successful in colleges, so they did that in the Middle East, and they were highly successful. By getting a college position, then the Muslim Brotherhood now influences the media. It influences the local local schools, because now you influence what's being taught in the smaller schools. And then it goes on, and you start talking about how do they influence society, how do they influence politics. It's a slow, gradual move that they believe requires no violence because people are stupidly just going to accept what they say. We've been seeing that a couple weeks ago in our Congress, where they had a House meeting or a Senate meeting on Sharia, and had we had Democrats up there saying they don't know what Sharia is, but they know it's good for us.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's
It's kind of like you can't be any dumber to come out and say you know what you're doing when you're telling everybody you don't know what you're talking about.
that's as bad as when they were trying to talk about TikTok and, about China. They had I could tell they had no idea what they were trying to defend or go against. And again, just because they're in Congress and Senate and things like that doesn't mean they're actually that smart. They just kind of go with the flow and get paid, and it's getting worse and worse. But your book, I mean, when did this book come out?
I finished it for publication in 2020. But a lot of the book is written about a year beforehand. I was a teacher and I had to retire to publish it.
Really?
So yes. So I published it because what it says could really, this book, if people read this book, they're going to get mad in the first chapter, because the first chapter is all about a secret doctrine in Islam called the Hijra. Now, we've seen this happen in Europe. If you start looking at Europe, and it's happening here, Europe, the Muslims have been constantly moving in. Hijra means migration. And that's all it means, just migration, moving from one place to another. And you do this in order to have a jihad. Well, okay, let's think about that. You want to have a jihad in your own country, that's civil war. You don't want to kill your own people. You want to move to the other country, make them uncomfortable, get to a certain population, and then you can kill those people present. What else happens then? If you're watching what's happening in Europe, the rapes are high. Why? Because in Islam, you're allowed to have sex slaves. And Muhammad was a raider. That's what his job officially was. He raided caravans. That was his first thing he did. He was never a prophet because he doesn't have any prophecies. I mean, that's the humor. When you start looking at reading their books, and the Quran claims he's not a prophet. That's the funny thing. It never says he's a prophet. It does say.
When did he live? I'm sorry. When did he live?
He's in the 7th century.
Okay.
So we're talking about 1400 years. And there's a question on if he actually lived today. New research is revealing that it's possible he never lived. New research is revealing that Mecca was never there during the time of Muhammad. In fact, that's just through historical documentation. You can see that they claimed Mecca was a trading center, but that's a little bit outside I work with people who are experts in these areas, and they're more the experts on those topics than I am. I'm just amazed. Like I said, the research is now indicating those things. But if we accept what they're saying as their belief, we have to do something a little different. We work from that spot. And so we have to accept, what do they really mean? What do they really want? So I think it's important to actually look at, what do they want for America? What do they want for wherever they are? So they're moving into this country and they're trying to take over. And you'll see Ilhan Omar kind of constantly saying this kind of stuff, and Rashida Tlaib. There's a large number of Muslims. I've got tons of videos right now. I recommend a site called memory.org, MEMRI.org, for people to go see the videos. They're looking at imams, people that are leaders of mosques, and what are they saying in the United States? Well, they're saying they're here to take over. And you can hear it from their words. Don't believe me, go listen to it for yourself. They're putting it up on YouTube, Facebook, wherever. They're saying they're here to take over. That's called Islamic supremacy. That's a doctrine. These are doctrines that are required to believe in Islam. There's a large number of them. Islamic supremacy, I put it in my book as a social norm. Norms are behaviors. Well, if you believe that Islam is supremacist, it's going to control everything. That creates certain behaviors. The behavior that you have to take over things, that you're in charge, or that you ignore certain people and accept others. So that's what this whole book was written from a social psychology point of view, instead of just from a religious point of view.
Well, again, the title kind of says it all. You didn't seem to be holding back much. I mean, the cancer of civilization jihad. I mean, that pretty much puts it into perspective before you even start reading it. I mean, look, I've always, felt like it's kind of barbaric, their way of thinking. And then you start getting into the depth of it, which we will. I'm going to start asking a bunch of questions from what you've written. But I'm watching this happen. I always knew in Dearborn, Michigan, that there was a big, filtration of Muslims collecting over there. And, you're watching it in England, how they're taking over, England, and they're just allowing it. But it's caught me off guard that, like, even Dallas, Texas, I had no clue that they're messing with Texas, and Texas is allowing it. And I'm going, that's Texas. Normally Texas, like, that's a no-go zone. You don't mess with Texas. And they're just, the mosques are by the dozens over there in Dallas.
And this is happening all over. And the importance is to them, again, this is, if they create a mosque, then they have to buy the properties around the mosque. And then no Muslim is allowed to sell property to a non-Muslim. So you can't sell a Muslim's land to a non-Muslim ever. You're never allowed to do that. It goes against Sharia. So this is, I mean, one of the first things I actually learned about Islam was from a student I'd had, oh my gosh, it's 30 some years ago. The Muslim student said to me, there's a difference between what you believe here in the United States and what Muslims believe in Palestine. I says, okay. He says, here's the example. Which would you rather lose, your wife or your land? I says, my land, of course. He says, now this is the difference between what we believe and what you believe. We believe we'd rather lose our wife because you can never get your land back.
They can always get, but they'll never get the same wife back, but they don't care about that either.
Yes, there's reasons it's just kind of, that was my first wake up call to what's really happening. It was kind of shocking is my best way to put it. There's so many things about this, what their faith structure actually says. I think even slavery, they have a great love of slavery. Some of the questions I put in here, I think it's close to 20 questions. It's just mind-numbing. How do they treat women is disgusting. My first question, the first question I put in this book is there an Islamic social norm requiring a hijra to Western civilizations? And, and looking at that, I went and looked at Islamic sites to find out, and yes, and they say no, but then they leave an exception. The only way you can go to another country that's not Islamic is if you're going to basically do jihad. And this is the scary thing. Jihad is war against a non-Muslim. That's how it's defined in Sharia. So if you're actually looking at what they say to each other, that's important rather than what they say to you, because they are required to lie to the non-Muslim. And even when they come here, so I went on a trip, a fact-finding expedition on the Islamization of Europe. Now, I took part in this in 2016. It was shocking. So I get to France, and I'm there, and we're talking to the intelligence units in France, and we're allowed to ask questions. So I said, who do you think is behind this mass migration into your country in France? The answer was Muslim Brotherhood. So I said, why do you believe that? They say they're always here to receive them. So they know who the Muslim Brotherhood is in their country, and they know they're actively involved in the migration. Okay. We went to Germany. I asked the same question. You know what they said? The Muslim Brotherhood's behind it all. And they gave the exact same reason. I went to Sweden. Same exact question. I get the same exact answer. The Muslim Brotherhood was behind this all. We're talking tens of thousands of Muslims moving into the country What's the purpose? The Muslim Brotherhood's their oath has to do with taking out the civilization they move into. And this is, we are so foolish to believe that nothing's wrong here. This is just so foolish. We're so easily duped into believing this stuff. It's kind of mind-numbing. If we just believe what they're telling us, like, okay, it's like this week, one of the news stories, no, it was last week, I'm looking at, I believe it was Germany. And you have kids in a school and they're having Ramadan. Well, they have Muslim kids in the school. Now the school is telling the kids, I believe this was in Canada too, this past week. It was Canada this week also, that the school advised the kids they had to turn their backs to eat during lunchtime. They couldn't eat in front of the Muslims. And this was advised in Germany also. Wow. Well, it's lunchtime. Okay, now here's the truth about the claim of fasting. Before the sun comes up, the Muslims have a great feast and they eat like pigs. They actually gain more weight during Ramadan than they do any other month during the year. Okay, then they don't eat or drink until the sun goes down. All right, sun goes down, they have a big, huge feast. All right, you might have 3 meals while the sun is down. They call it turning your day into night and your night into day. All right. Some places they don't work during the day. Some countries they just change the work schedule. Instead of working during the day, you work during the night. Why? Because you can constantly eat. And this is, we're being told they're fasting. Well, wait a minute. You just pigged out in the morning, and you shouldn't be able to eat now. I mean, yeah, it's a few hours later, but you're going to eat another feast in a few hours, right? Yes. That's what we call skipping lunch in America. We don't call that fasting. That is skipping lunch. I mean, if you got to have 2 feasts in one day, you got to starve yourself to be able to eat the next feast. And that's
the least of the problems, I think. I mean, if that's their interpretation, but I mean, I'm watching they're coming in more and more and taking over a small county administration level.
Yes.
Yes, I'm seeing this, and it's not good.
And then you see, okay, the government takeover. That's more in my second book. That then you see this, and it's scary. And I say scary because of their belief structure. They believe children should be able to be married at the age of 6 or even out of the womb. You can be married out of the womb, according to Islam. All right. In the Quran actually has it in there that you're allowed to marry prepubescent girls and, of course, take them to bed. Why? And they're not defining when they can. There are some countries that will say age 9. And again, you can't bed them until age 9. Why do they say 9? Well, because Muhammad married a 6-year-old and bedded her at 9. So understanding this is one of the things they can't ever say is wrong. In the UK, what they started to find in prisons was the pedophiles were converting to Islam because they would be protected. Because in their faith structure, they've done nothing wrong.
Yeah.
And this is, I mean, again, these are news stories that have been out there. I'm reading stories from all over the world on this kind of stuff, and it's just kind of mind-numbing. I don't have a better way to put it.
No, we're going to get into, I'm going to start asking you, questions that flow into, coincide with your book about these, is this right or wrong, or is this real or not real? But it seems to me like if Muhammad wrote and put everything together to satisfy and be able to get away with what he wanted to get away with and make it okay. I mean, that's just the way it feels to me. It's like, I'm going to make these laws because this is what I want to do. And that way it makes it like, a good thing. That is what Aisha accused him of. So you're not wrong. You're saying the same things Aisha said. That's supposed to be the mother of Islam, his child bride. Uh-huh. And his response?
I wouldn't be surprised if he slapped her or hit her, because she was
Yeah.
they are known for. She actually talks about the wife beatings, so that's recorded in hadiths. So I wouldn't be a surprise to me that he beat her that day.
Well, I mean, look, there's nothing. I mean, migration and immigration again has been going on with all cultures, from forever. But I mean, I have to believe. I still say, don't you think that even though there's Muslims, but there's some Muslims that are extreme, and some Muslims that are born because they're born into it and they are Muslim, but like, hey, yeah, I'm Muslim, but I just kind of take it easy. I'm not like them, but I am Muslim. I do follow.
So in Ontario, Canada, I believe it was Toronto, about 3 years ago, maybe a little bit more. There was a place where it was a Muslim restaurant, and they allowed people to bring a bottle of wine in so you could have with your drink, with your food that you would, because they didn't serve wine. And they noticed that somebody was coming in who was a Sharia adherent Muslim. And they told everybody who brought wine in, they have to put it away. And they're like, why? They have to show themselves as Sharia compliant. So the truth is, Muslims adhere, they say they submit to Allah, but where do they get that submission? It is from Sharia, because they don't know how to pray without Sharia. There's no directions of how to pray. That's the only place you can find out how to pray. There's several different books in Sharia. It's inside of, like we say, a book of books for the Bible. That's what their Sharia is. It's made of a bunch of books. They have to submit to Sharia. So if they're having to submit to Sharia, they have to accept, again, the child brides. They might say these things, and that's even allowed, according to Saeed Qutb, who is Muslim Brotherhood, one of the past Muslim Brotherhood leaders. Now, he has this thing called Milestones, which talks about this book called Milestones, and that talks about you can be at different stages of jihad. Everybody must be, but at the very least, you must hate the non-Muslim in your heart. That's a requirement. So this is actually a stated fatwa that was written in 1914, I believe. I have to go back. Yeah, this stuff is just so shocking when you actually study what they say to each other versus what they say when they believe we are doing the reading. In fact, even the book that I'm studying, which is called Reliance the Traveler. Now, Reliance the Traveler is Sharia, and I recommend it to everybody. Go to Amazon.com, purchase this book. But I will also tell you the reason why I think this book is really good is it has the Arabic and the English. Now, I will tell you something that will surprise you. They claim that this book is a very good translation. That's a lie. But the fact that they have the Arabic there allows us to see the lies. They have a lot of desires for slavery, and they're constantly expressed in almost every book that's in there, and every section, I should say, that's in there. They have this love of slavery, sex slavery. Is, and when I wrote that last book, The Cancer Civilization Jihad, I hadn't yet learned that they have a belief you can own part of a slave. So you might own 1/6, 1/7, 1/8 of a slave, but you still have rights to her. And when you set her free, the 7 other guys still have her, or the 12 other guys, or whatever.
All right.
So, yeah, this is kind of, and when we talk about let's take a look at England. Go back to England. We talk about the rape gangs. They call them grooming gangs. They were selling people, but you're allowed to do that. The Quran actually says you can do these things. And this is, again, what the book barely touches on this concept, but this is where they think of women as sex objects. And if they're non-Muslim women, you can do these things to them because that's considered part of jihad.
Yeah. Again, it just sounds like a great excuse to just, go nuts and get away with that kind of stuff, and under a label that justifies it.
Yeah, and it's sick. And that's the thing to tell people. And I tell people all the time, if you don't think what I'm saying is true, watch the news. I mean, read the news. That's what I would tell you. I'm constantly checking news in England, in Europe, where things are going on. They will say when they get caught raping someone, they didn't know it was wrong. Why? Because she wasn't wearing a hijab. That means she's a whore. Or she's able to be, okay, they will come out and tell you this. In courts, they have said this.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with what I did. Yeah.
Again, let me go. I just want to start going down the line a little bit of a couple of questions I got. You said in your book, you talk about the migration to Western civilization. I mean, into all these other countries now. I mean, how is it that, what advantage is it for like England to keep their mouth shut and just let all this crap happen? I mean, what the hell is going on?
That's a great question. The problem with England now, so this started in the 40s, the late 40s. Oriana Fallaci and Bat Ye'or actually documented this. It was an agreement between big businessmen in the late 40s, early 50s, to bring workers to Europe because so many men had died. What they didn't realize was what they were importing. And it was a continued agreement. So every year you would send so many people from this this Muslim country or that Muslim country, and they would come in. Eventually, they start getting into politics and into the schools and changing things. So now they can't do anything. In fact, the reason why this goes on and has, like right now, you can see we're not taking part. The Europeans are not taking part in the attack on Iran. Why? It's not because of the oil. It's because they fear civil war, because the population of Muslims in their country is quickly reaching 20%. When it reaches 20%, there will be jihad.
Yeah. I didn't think of that. That's pretty bad. I mean, 'cause I see it all the time. Look, speaking of the news, you say watch the news. The news is so hard to trust anymore, what they report on and what they don't report on. I literally get more educated people off of TikTok or Instagram at times than I will off of any kind of major news source, sadly.
So like I'm constantly following, I don't really watch much of the news here in the United States. I don't watch it. I go searching for news stories myself. I read Swedish news. I read news from, like I said, from Europe, different news sources. I do like the New York Post, but the constant, in order to find anything you trust, you really have to, and there's some sources I really don't trust, like the Communist News Network. There's a lot of them I don't trust, but I want to go back, and when I find a story I have interest, I call the writer and I say, is this true? One of the stories I found about 7-8 years ago was a story, and I believe it was out of Rio Alto in was it Washington? Yeah, California. And there was a requirement to either prove or disprove the existence of the Holocaust. And this was an assignment for junior high students in their social studies class. They had to do research on this to prove either way. Well, it came out, and of course, the Jewish people got really upset. And the school district is saying, well, we don't know who put this in. And a reporter wrote this whole story up. And he's like, nobody's admitting to having done this. The teacher says, well, she didn't give this order. The school district had given this order. That's definite, because all social studies teachers at this level were giving this assignment, right? There was no, like, the social studies curriculum person said he didn't give the order. The guy who wrote this piece went through every list person, and he said, I couldn't figure out who did it. I says, I know. I says, you eliminated everyone but the only possible and that tells me who did it. I says, well, who did it? And she's like, who did it? How? I says, you eliminated everybody but the district superintendent of the school, and his first name happens to be Muhammad. And he's like, oh. I says, you told every teacher who did it, but you didn't. I mean, you could have told people. If you talked to a teacher, they would have told you. Because any teacher reading that article would have known immediately. And that was surprising. I mean, I put down the guy was outstanding, did an outstanding article. He just didn't have the knowledge to figure out the end of the story. I felt sorry for him.
I just, again, the problem I feel that this whole world is going through is just, and I get, is misinformation. Define misinformation. I say something on YouTube that's, not to their standards. They shut me down. They pull it off, even though it may be the truth, but it's labeled misinformation. Who do you believe? That's the problem. There's so much crap going out.
This is where, if you want to find out if something's misinformation, read about 5 different articles on the same thing. When they're repeating the exact same things word for word, don't trust it. That's where it gets interesting. You can watch CNN, MSNBC, ABC, CBS, and you will find them. They have soundbite news pieces, and they'll use the same exact phrases. Well, how did they get the same phrases to put into all of their pieces? Now you have to sit there asking questions. It's one thing if they're going to come out and say so-and-so said, but if they're all using it as if it's their own words, that is made up news. It's manufactured for somebody to put out. It's deliberate misinformation. Now, another way to look at it, if you're reading 5 different news stories, you should be finding a slight difference in approach. If you're not finding that, go back and make sure that they're not copying word for word. That was one of my biggest issues with Breitbart originally, because when Breitbart was looking at European articles, what they were basically doing was translating them into English and getting away with calling them their own. I had a real problem with that. To me, as a writer, I consider that plagiarism. And I mean, they actually put a link to the original story most of the time. But again, that was me. I can't handle someone stealing someone else's work, just even if they're translating it. I mean, give credit where it's due.
I get it, but again, you have people who used to trustingly watch CNN for the past 30 years, and everything has gone awry, and they can't break the norm of believing that. Why would they lie to me? That's a big problem.
So the funniest thing I've ever seen, it was actually on CNN. It was the biggest comedy show I ever saw. I'm out with a friend. I'm going to be speaking at a civic organization. And this is when I think it was a flight from the Philippines or that went missing. MH something, this plane went missing. So CNN has gotten on an Australian Navy ship. And they say this: we have to wait for the ping in the airplane to stop so we can find the plane.
What do you mean?
Yeah, that's what it doesn't make any sense. If they can hear the ping, they can locate the ship.
Right.
So I actually wrote an article at that time. Will CNN find the missing pingfish?
Look, they do a lot of stupid stuff. I mean, but it amazes me, especially like MSNBC and Morning Joe and what's her name, Rachel Maddow, that guy, will say anything for money. And it's disgusting. I mean, I'm kind of hardcore. I mean, you got to push me pretty far, but I mean, the crap that comes out of their mouths is just fascinating, and people buy it hook, line, and sinker.
Here's another thing. Okay, so there's when you start looking at, oops, did this get turned off? Okay. I think I may have turned off my speaker. Hold on a second.
That's okay. We still hear you, but you're good.
Can you hear? Okay, I just want to make sure it was in my ears still.
Oh, yeah.
All right. When you start looking for news, I'm just going to keep telling you, read many different sources. That's the first thing. Then eventually you will find something you trust. I like for Swedish news and for Canadian news, there's two companies. There's a company in Canada, one company out of all of Canada that is not paid for by the Canadian government. That is The Rebel. It used to be called therebel.media. Now I believe it's therebel.com. You can go there. That is the only conservative news. It is the only news outlet not paid for by the government. Okay. Then there is in Sweden, it's the same thing. Sweden controls all of their news. All right. You want to find out the real news source? Go to the one that's not controlled by the government. That's SAMNet, SAMNYTT.se. And now here's where it gets easy. You go to Google Translate, you type that link in, all right, and then almost every time you go to that link, it will be translated in English. There are some differences. There are quirks when you use Google Translate. It doesn't translate perfectly, but you'll immediately notice the quirks. And it's pretty accurate. And a lot of Europeans will put in print things we would never put in print in America. I'll say that. They're a little more descriptive than we are here in the United States. If they're talking about a murder or a rape, they're a lot more descriptive. And I would not necessarily something for kids.
I would think in Canada, like Canada's got their own problems with leadership. I mean, that, they got huge problems. And so I'm thinking their media must suck because I don't know. See, I never see anything. Maybe I don't go looking for it, but I said they got their own set of problems. Those people over there have to put up with that crap, and they're just getting walked all over as well because of their leadership. I mean, it's just a friggin' mess. But then when I know we got our problems here in the States with the infiltration of this, but again, Dallas, Texas blew my mind. I didn't realize there was such a large growing population of Muslims over there.
Well, Dallas is small. The one in Dallas is relatively small.
Really?
There's a new population that's growing in Dallas. They just bought a church of 40,000 square. The property is 40,000 square feet, I believe. And then there is another one they bought. A large property outside, and they're trying to create a Muslim city. That's their end goal.
Right.
Where nobody will live there but Muslims.
Right.
Now, that's another guy you got to watch for. There's all these imams that are involved. They're well known, and they're trying to violate federal law. They're being investigated for securities frauds as well, because the only way this could be done, I mean, I recognized that the day they started planning this, is through an investment strategy. That's the only way they could do this legally. So they could say, you're not buying a home, you're buying and you're getting an investment. Well, here's the catch. You can only get into the investment if you are Muslim. That's not legal in this country. You can't do an investment if you are. That's just not legal. But that's how they're playing the game. And so they got dinged for securities fraud, securities violations. They're being investigated on the federal level as well as on the state level. What they've got planned, they're going to force people to pay for a mosque. So they're saying, well, we're not going to require all. They've already said publicly this is only for Muslims, and now they've renamed it the Valley. I think it's the Valley. Yeah, they're going to keep renaming this thing, and they're going to require everybody there to follow Sharia, which means they'll allow prepubescent girls to be married. They'll allow. They will. I mean, there's so many things they're going to allow.
When you talk about investing and things like that, let's say you're Italian. if you only wanted your Italian buddies to invest, I mean, there's ways around it. I mean, you just don't buy until you get a bunch of Italians to buy it all at once. I mean, in somehow, way, shape, or form. But this is still a little. You say it's a small population that's going to Dallas. I don't know. I'm hearing a lot of talk about that. I thought it's like, that's why I'm kind of shocked, because they're already pushing. They want Sharia law over there in Dallas.
And yes, so this is the thing. You will see. I'm still considering it small because they don't openly show their second, third, and fourth wives. They don't openly do this yet. When they start openly doing that, showing their child brides, then you'll know that they've reached a size that they feel they're comfortable with showing who they are. That's where it's going to get scary. And I understand what you're saying. The catch is, in the United States, we have laws about how you buy property. So they bought this area and they intend to develop it. And the intention to develop the land, now you're right. If you had gotten all these people together and then you didn't try and sell off parcels, which is what they're saying they're not doing. All right, they've made it into an investment game, because selling off the property is for houses. That's a whole different game. You can buy the property, but can you build? I mean, if they've already bought the property. Now they've got to divide it into parcels and for building. And that's where all this other stuff breaks real estate law. That's what it comes down to.
Oh yeah, but again, you could privately not put it on the market, and you find underground, and you find your Muslim brother, and you sell it. All of a sudden, it becomes for sale, and they got the sale. I mean, there you go. But hang on 1 second. We got MCF Senior. Shalom, MCF Senior. He says Rebel News is crap. Just like CNN, they don't report news, just push their own narratives. How about that shit?
Well, that's probably because he likes the he likes the news in Canada paid for by Canada's government.
I think MCF Senior's he's in upstate New York as well.
Yeah, I happen to have met and talked to the people who work for, and I had a friend who worked for them many years ago when they were starting, and I still check them. They have difficulties in the fact that for some reason they're getting attacked more, because I see their site go down quite a lot. So I'm guessing they probably don't have the geniuses on the tech side. Because I'll be honest, I'm kind of seeing that happen more often. They get attacked a lot more than I see other sites going down. So maybe that's what it is. But yeah, I will say they give a different, which you'll find. Okay, one of the news stories, again, has to do with what I would call civilization jihad. They had a guy who is reported to be a Hamas supporter. And this was at the Toronto International Airport, Pearson Airport. And they went to report this guy. He's a baggage handler, supports Hamas. Okay, start thinking about that. What could he put on your plane? He's a terrorist supporter. All right. So the guy, the Rebel News guy, goes and he's trying to get a hold of someone to talk to them about this, and everybody's like, we can't talk to you about this. So finally he says, okay, because he tried talking to the airport staff and they won't talk to him. So he goes to the police department and reports it there. Okay. Nobody else will cover this story. Why is that? That's what Rebel News does. They cover the stories most people won't. And that to me is quite a statement. I live on the other side of Lake Ontario, so I can't get any closer. I mean, it's a short. I mean, we have a sister city in Toronto, so that's how close we are. We used to have a ferry between here and there. we used to make fun of that, but yeah, if you want to see Toronto is not even half as filled with Muslim as Ottawa is. Ottawa is twice maybe 3 times or 4 times as bad as Muslims. The Muslims in the schools were beating up the Canadians, because the Canadians are the peace lovers, right?
Right.
And the Muslims, when they came in from Syria, remember they came from Syria, they were just beating the crap out of them. And this is what's been happening in Europe. Because again, it's how you raise your children. The United States teaches their children, in general, you don't put up with crap. You don't take it. You fight the bully back. You beat him. You give him. You punch him right in the nose.
Nowadays,
right? That's what you teach your children.
Yeah, used to. I don't know. This is current generation. They want pansies and flowers lately. But yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. Well, that's how we were raised. You fight back. And in Canada, no, you don't. No, peace lovers, socialists. No. They don't even know what kind. I mean, yeah, I have. Like I say, I have a lot of friends in Canada. It's a very confusing mess. They're not sure what they are as far as a government. So
I've always said, this is the problem, which is going to lead me into my next question. I've always said, if you teach someone to hate from a child, that's all they're going to know. And they're just going to hate because that's all they know. If you tell them to hate this certain type of people, and they're just thinking they're doing what they're supposed to do. I mean, in your book, it's do all Muslims believe the same things? This is where I kind of asked you a little bit earlier. It's like, do you think that they're all that extreme, or some are more passive and just kind of, there are some that just let's just all get along?
Well, the truth is, they all believe the same thing. They have to. Even the Shiites and the Sunnis, they all agree on these things. One, they agree with the Quran. They accept the entire Quran. All right. The Quran's only existed in its full form in one book since 1924. Now, you can laugh about that. There's been portions of it here, portions of it there, but before 1924, that's not true. Okay. That's the first full book that we have of the Quran. There's no earlier record of the entire thing in one spot. That's kind of humorous when you think about it. So the book as a whole being together is only shown, the earliest one that we can find is 1924. They have pieces here, pieces there, but they don't have an earlier one. Now, do they believe the same things? Well, they're using the same book. Do they believe the same things? They use the hadiths. Yes, you have to accept the hadiths. Okay. So now you're accepting the two major things. Do they accept the same histories? Pretty much. All right. The biggest difference between the Sunnis and Shiites is who's in charge. That's it.
Yeah.
All right. That's really it. They pretty much believe the same things. They believe in jihad. Oh, that's why the Shiites will support the Sunni Hamas to wage war against Israel. All right. That's why Iran will support a Shiite coming to murder. They'll pay for jihad like they paid for a guy to try and kill Trump. All right. That's already known. It was in a court case a couple weeks ago. All right. This is constantly going on where you find Shiites. Yeah, Shiites paid a Sunni. That's right. Shiites paid a Sunni from Pakistan to come and murder Trump. That was one, and several other people as well. So this is the stuff that's constantly going on. They believe the same things. It's just who's in charge. That's the difference. That's really the Shiites have a more stated belief in end times. That's about it. That's the only difference.
Okay, but the women's side of this whole thing, I know that they're brought up from children, so same thing, kind of, this is the way it is, this is the way it is. But I've seen a lot of videos where, they don't like what's going on. They may not have a choice, but you have in your book, are women considered less than equal in the whole thing? It's obvious that they're less than equal, right?
Well, imagine you're brought up in a household where usually they're generational. So you see your grandmother get beat by your grandfather. You see your your mother get beat by your father, what are you expecting in your marriage if you're a girl?
But to
Right?
give your daughter away at 9 years old, and I've seen the children kicking and screaming, going with some
Yeah.
old dude in a pajama top, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's barbaric.
So I've actually talked to Muslims about this. I said I says, do you consider my first conversation when I talk to Muslims about this topic, I'll ask them, do you believe Muhammad was a perfect man? They say yes. Okay. So I said, if you really believe that, I have a question for you. And okay, what's the question? I says, are you okay with your daughter being married off at the age of 6 and being bedded at the age of 9? And they're like, what? Oh. Okay. Because they cannot call Muhammad a pedophile, because if they said it was illegal, it was wrong, they would be telling Muhammad he was sinful. And that destroys their whole belief structure. And this is recorded in Ibn Ishaq's history, every history of, and even in the Hadiths, it's recorded. Aisha is the one who narrates her own age as being 6 when she marries, and 9 when she consummates the marriage. And she hasn't even had her first period yet. That's stated later on because it says she goes and plays with her dolls. So these are when I keep talking about this concept, it's actually put into the Quran, it's put into the Hadiths, and this is the stuff that the social norms that they're bringing in. What do they want? Again, I keep saying they want slavery, they want this pedophilia stuff. What else do they want? I mean, they want to treat women like they're stupid. Well, the reason they want to do that is because Muhammad treated women like they were stupid. He told them they couldn't become intellectual. So in order to, if you treat a woman like she's intellectually your equal, now you're dissing your Muhammad. So again, these are Islamic social norms. They don't have a choice if they want to continue their belief that Muhammad's a perfect man.
It's all, like I said, it's all, to me, it's all written to suit his needs, their needs, whatever. Hang on a second. Say, hate to break your heart, Mr. G. We wanted Trump. They gave us Trump. He will go down as the worst president in history. Well, I mean, what should we have taken?
Now I know he loves CNN.
Well, should we have taken Kamala? Where will we be right now with her regime? I mean, to pick your poison.
Oh my gosh! If we had Kamala, the gas price would be $10 a gallon. That was, you got to remember, $5 a gallon was Obama's goal when he just before he took office. He wanted us to be paying the same amount that Britain was paying. That was about $5 a gallon. That's how it worked, and couldn't go any higher than what it did under Biden. And you're going to see, I believe these gas prices are going to drop in a couple weeks. I think this is going to be over within 2 or 3 weeks at the most.
I mean,
Trump said originally that they would be there 2 or 3 weeks. I'm going to see that. I find one of the things I found fascinating is they planned this out so thoroughly. They almost destroyed the economy of Europe. And this is something people have to understand. When I say destroyed them, well, when Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of England, was saying, "Oh, we're pansies over here. We can't send any support. We might have a civil war here if we do that." Well, Trump turns around and says, "Okay, we're going to offer insurance to the oil tankers, and we're going to cover those."
Yeah.
That put Lloyd's of London, the insurance carrier, that sent a message to them. Oh, they're going to cover it. We're going to go bankrupt.
Right. Kicking the nuts.
Okay, if they go, yeah. So now all of a sudden, now they have to take. But now my question, which I haven't heard an answer to or found an answer to, did they? I mean, did those shipping companies, did they switch to the FDIC, which he said should carry it. Now that would be humorous because if he did, he just broke the UK.
I would switch because not only that, because you know that the U.S. would protect at least protect those ships because it's in their best interest.
Yeah, and then it gets more humorous because Lloyd's of London was raising the insurance rates almost $1 million a ship.
Yeah.
So start thinking of it that way.
It's all about money.
Would you want to lose them? I mean, this is, yeah. So if you've got your own people out there protecting the ships, hey, that's quite a statement. I mean, if it worked, it worked. I'm happy for us. But
no, I get it.
No one's going to be talking about it.
No one is pushing peace. MCF Senior, do you watch CNN? I like MCF Senior's a loyal fan. I love him. He tells me, he speaks his mind, and we talk about it, and we're still stay on. I mean, we agree on a lot of things. But do you watch CNN? I'm just curious because a lot of people do. I just can't do it anymore. But I'm just saying that without Trump, we only had Kamala. So which one is going to be the one that's going? I believe that we would be in one world order by now, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, she wouldn't have been. We just have it would be Obama's fourth term then.
Well, yeah, exactly. But the thing is, we were going to that whole new world order, and Trump went over there and told him the jig is up. I know his hands are tied to a certain extent, but he pushes the envelope, saying, "I'm not going to allow the United States to fail." I mean, in my eyes, that's all I can see it. But I don't think we'd be there. I think we'd already been given up by now, a year into her presidency.
I'm too scared to think about it.
Well, I mean, I know, but you got to think that what if? I mean, because that's the whole reason why you wouldn't vote for her, because you knew where it was going to go.
Yeah,
we were halfway there with Biden. We just didn't get completely down on our knees. Let me ask you another question here. I got a bunch I want to get to, and we're burning up time quickly, but not quickly. I mean, this is all good stuff, but so with women, I want to stick with the whole women thing again. They're giving up and they're getting married and they're conforming and doing all this against their will, and they're just used to it. But I mean, do you see in your thing? Do you see that women trying to escape out of all that, or do they just I'm doomed?
So if a woman, this is the sad truth is, in Islam, there's a belief that a woman's honor is not her own. That is probably one of the scariest things to think about. You think, if you have a daughter, I want you to think about if her honor, her pride didn't belong to her. It belongs to the family. So she ends up being kicked out of her marriage. That means the family's honor is a mess. The whole family has crap on it. All right, that's how that's treated. So when let's say there's a divorce, she gets kicked out, or she got beaten, she ran home. Oh no, you've got to allow him to beat you. All right, they take her home back to the husband. All right, if they let her stay there, the family is. So what will they do? If a girl dates a non-Muslim, that brings shame on the entire family. What does the father and mother have a right to do? According to Sharia, you can kill your own children. It's allowed. All right. And you can find this again in Sharia. It's in Book O. And it's on crime. And this is just, it's mind-numbing. It's a murder that is allowed. You're allowed to kill your children. You're allowed to kill your grandchildren. Shocking stuff.
But they think that's okay. I mean,
yes.
That's it's not a bad thing. Like, so what? It's just my child.
Yes, it's allowed. Anyone who leaves Islam can be killed. Women are not allowed to date non-Muslims. Muslim men are allowed to date non-Muslim females so they can create more Muslims, because all the child has to be is born and becomes what the father was in their belief structure.
Like I said, it's pretty messed up. That's pretty messed up. Again, I am. Let's talk about this. You got something about, there's been on the news, especially lately. I think was it in New York or no, it was in England. A lot of stuff going on in England that I watched, and about people walking their dogs. And,
Oh yes,
and Muslim people having, what do they feel? What's up with the dog thing? I mean, what are they they hate dogs so badly?
So according to Muhammad, that it sounds silly. All right,
It is silly.
And I don't have a better way to put it. They have a belief that angels will not visit if there's a dog present. Okay. So if there's a dog present, and if it's a black dog, it's from Satan. Okay, it's an evil dog. This is what should happen. The police should bring their dogs every time in England the Muslims get in the street. The police should bring their dogs. Just go stand right there, right next to the Muslims. Their prayers will be of no effect. Okay, that's their issue. So if you have a dog, like I put a video out there a couple of weeks ago where there's this guy. I can't think of his name right now, but he's in England. He's saying he's going to kill the Jews, because they were walking their dogs.
Right.
Why? Oh, wow. Okay. Again, it's negating prayers of Muslims. So this is where you'll see people who actually pay attention to what Muslims believe, and they'll be walking their dogs near the prayers. Why? If they're out there publicly praying, what's wrong with walking your dog? There was a video of a Muslim man attacking a woman because she had a dog. Oh, I mean, they actually have. So actually, a couple of weeks ago, they were talking about what was it? There's a country was looked at for FIFA, and every country that's Muslim that is being considered for FIFA will do this. Qatar was being considered, right? When Qatar was being considered, they killed thousands, tens of thousands of dogs that were running wild. Tens of thousands. There were pictures of trucks, loads of, and just piles of dead dogs that they shot and killed. It's bad. It is just. So we took military dogs and gave them to Muslim countries to help them to detect bombs. Oh, this was one of our dumbest decisions. We were trying to be good allies. Well, those dogs are either dead or returned to the United States. Very few places in Muslim countries would care for a dog like that. They're allowed working dogs. Well, the working dogs they're allowed are the hunting dogs. They didn't say anything about bomb detection dogs in the Quran.
I was just wondering, because growing up, my father grew up on a Greek island that was 3 miles from Turkey. And now my father was born in 1926. He's since deceased since 2019. So he would have been close to 100 years old right now. So he came up as a child during World War II and things like that. But I remember him saying to me, because Turkey always wanted that island. It's the island of Lesbos. It's a pretty good sized island right off the coast of Turkey. And he says in Turkey, he says they call us dogs. And I just didn't know if they had that any
It's an insult.
Well, yeah, but I didn't know if it coincided with the whole thing with the dog thing. I didn't know.
It is. You're right. It is. They're considered less. Yeah, and this dehumanization process. Others like they call Christians and Jews. They'll call them apes, monkeys, pigs. I mean, they'll say these things. Dehumanization, which makes them easier to kill.
Yeah. Well. Freedom of speech. I mean, I kind of know, it's pretty obvious answer, but I have a friend who is a younger guy, and he's kind of a musician, rap singer, sort of, and he comes from Iran. And I remember him telling me several years ago, if he was to do what he's doing here, which he doesn't do anything bad, it's just musical entertainment, basically, and he's nothing even wild, but he said they would kill him over there. He'd be dead.
Yes. Yeah, in fact, the only music that's actually allowed in Islam, doesn't matter Shiite, Sunni, or whatever, is music that is vocal, in general male, that is praising Allah. That's it. Now, the truth of the matter is, what they really allow is music, vocal music, what I would consider music. They sing their Quran. All right, every single time, but they sing their prayers. All right, if you learn what's in their prayers, they're talking about. I mean, they say these things 17 times a day. These prayer rituals. They repeat the first surah 17 times a day. That's the last verse is a verse of hatred against Jews and Christians. All right.
Yeah.
And we talked about teaching hatred to children. This is okay. So if you're doing something 17 times a day, does it brainwash you? Probably. I don't like to use the term radicalize because I have yet to see any proof of a concept called radicalization. What I have seen, if we just go back in time a little ways, remember the terms for we talked about brainwashing in the 70s. In the 80s, we talked about it. Okay, we have brainwashing, but there is nothing really proving radicalization. Only there's nobody becoming radicalized. They just learn about Islam. Islam teaches these things. And that's why, you'll see people who become Muslim ready to go out and kill people. Why? Because they read the Quran. And here's by the peaceful verses you were by the peaceful people you're talking about. What they will do is cite peaceful verses from the Quran, but they don't tell you there is a problem citing them. So there's something called abrogation in Islam, which deals with the contradictions in the Quran. Abrogation says whatever was said last is right. If something was said later, it negates something earlier. What was said last is the right thing. Surah 9 is the last surah chronologically. Okay, so that means most people who read the Quran don't know this. If Surah 9 is the last one, it has that verse of the sword. It talks about killing non-Muslims. Now you start to understand. Muslims who understand this aren't going to tell you this. And, reading their books written by Muslims for Muslims, you find this out.
Again, to me, see, I thought radical Islamists. I always had a 2-point definition because I thought you had your people who were in Islam, as you would say, because you said, but you had the guys that would like chop your head off like without the blink of an eye. I'm going, that's extremism right there. That's like really taking it all the way and not even blinking twice. To me, the cartel and that are about equal. They don't care. They'll chainsaw you in half with the cartel, to punish you and hang you off a bridge headless, naked, in Mexico. And then over there, they'll, line them all up and chop all their heads off and film it and send it to everybody.
The difference in Islam is this. The Muslim who is willing to kill you is willing to do it today. The Muslim who is not willing to kill you is willing to give the money to the guy to do it.
Really?
Yes. So in the United States, we had that Holy Land Foundation trial. Those guys went around collecting money from all the mosques in the United States. All right?
Yeah.
And they funded multi-millions to Hamas that way. It's that kind of stuff is still happening today in mosques. They have to give 1/8. They talk about they have to collect zakat.
Right.
And 1/8 of it's a wealth tax. 1/8 of every dollar must go to support jihad.
It's
so you
almost
think
like
about that. All your good Muslims,
yeah,
1/8 of their money must support killing non-Muslims.
So, okay, and I get that the theory is there, but you're going to tell me
that's a requirement in there. That's a requirement that's written into their Sharia. It's written in their Quran.
Paul, but I get it. But I mean, let's say I have a friend, he's a Muslim. We're friends. We're good friends. It seems like we're good friends. We talk with no problem. We understand each other. Are you going to tell me that behind his head going on, he's smiling at me, but saying, I would kill you in a heartbeat?
That's actually in the Quran, that they're not allowed to be your friends, and that they're allowed to smile at you, but they must hold that hatred in your heart.
But do you think that
they have to lie to you? Yes.
Do you think they all really feel that way?
I think you'll find Muslims who don't know what Islam teaches. And there's no Muslim who is as evil as Muhammad. I believe that.
Wow.
But, I mean, the biggest danger we do is we don't teach the truth about how many pillars there are in Islam. We teach there are 4. There is a 5th one. Using Islam, if you read Islamic scholars, they will tell you there's a 5th pillar. Some people will teach there are 6. All right. Dawah and Jihad is when they teach 6. The 5th pillar, I believe there's just 5, and I have friends that disagree with me, and they're experts as well. So that's why I'm saying both. I believe there's just a 5th, okay, which is Jihad. And you'll find this whenever a Muslim terrorist gets caught, they will talk about that 5th pillar. All right, there's not 4 pillars. They'll say that there's 5, or there's more than 4 pillars. They always say that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's something to think about. If that's what they believe, and if that's what they're taught, if that's what's in the Quran, that's what it comes down to. It's in the Quran. That's what they base. It's just like a Christian. There's no such thing as a radical Christian unless you're looking at a Christian who just wants to, I'll say, radical is supposed to be against the norm. Okay, you might be a liberal if you're against the norm in Christianity. You might hate somebody. Oh, you're not supposed to in Christianity. Radical is against the norm. Extremist. And I talk to CIA people, I talk to FBI people about these terms, extremist, radical, and they laugh at these terms. All right? Even though they're used in their own manuals. They say there's no definition for these words. So when they use them to talk to the media, because they think the media is stupid, and the media treats us like we're stupid. They know those words mean nothing. So we got to look at, I mean, in college, I learned how to break things down. I was a philosopher. One of my majors is philosophy. And we were told how to break things and to find out what one thing stays up is, what's everything rests on. Well, if everything rests on, in Islam, everything rests on 3 things. It rests on the Quran, it rests on Mecca, and it rests on Muhammad. If you can kick one of those 3 things out, everything falls on a 3-legged stool if one leg is gone, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, you have to look at those 3 things. That's what controls all of Islam.
I would just think that if you're in America, you kind of become somewhat Americanized because you're in the culture.
You're not allowed to.
I mean, they're not allowed to, but it's there in your face every day. And some people who think rationally, I would think, would start to figure it out and go, hey, wait a minute. No? None?
I would agree with you. I meet a lot of Muslims today who will listen to music. But should another Muslim who is following Sharia see them, they turn that music off.
Let me ask you, because we got to wrap it up. But now I was going to do the final question, but now I got one more. Homosexuality. I hear all these stories about their closet case. They don't talk about it, but it's going on.
So this is where there is homosexuality endorsed and not endorsed. So I say endorsed and not endorsed because they talk about sex with little boys. It happens. It's recorded in Shiite Islam more than it's recorded in Sunni Islam. They'll talk about little boys, but they still do throw homosexuals off tall buildings. They still do kill homosexuals. So when you see the lesbians, the LGBTQ community out there,
Yeah.
standing for Hamas, it's the same thing as KFC holding signs like, yeah, okay, yeah, go KFC.
Yeah.
If you see a chicken doing that, yeah.
Useful idiots is what they call
Yes.
them. But
Yes.
I just heard these stories. I go, well, then if they're doing what they say that they'd kill people for, how are they getting away with it?
So in this country, you can have any belief you want in general, but they'll coming out. They serve another purpose here when they're saying those things. They serve the purpose of making the average citizen in the Western world believe there is such a thing as moderate Islam. So they'll allow them to live because they're fooling us. That's the purpose. It's like a dawa purpose to make us not understand what they're really intending.
All right. Final question before we go. And then I tell everybody a little bit how to get a hold or find your book and all that. How do you feel all of this going on, period, in general, with the whole, Islam everywhere? How is it affecting what's happening in America?
The biggest danger we have right now is what's happening in our intelligence units and our schools, because we're not teaching the truth about Islam. In fact, President George W. Bush is the reason why the terrorism fight is still continuing. He forbid the intelligence units to look at Islam as the problem. It's actually considered a doctrinal statement. I have a graduate certificate in intelligence analysis, and they talk about that. They were forbidden from looking at Islam as the problem. That means you can't look at the Quran, you can't study it to see we have to know what the threat doctrine is. Okay, there's only a couple people who actually did that. Dr. Stephen Coughlin is the one. He was a major when he did it. All right, no one does that. No one talks about the threat doctrine. All right, if you look at the threat doctrine, which is a requirement of all, you're looking at your enemy, you have to know what that means. In Islam, if you're not looking at Islam as the threat, you miss too many things. What is the threat doctrine? Ask yourself that question.
Well, yeah. How would you not want to get to know your enemy?
Yes, and that's the whole point. Well, good question.
That makes no sense. I mean, him saying that you can't study this stuff and don't look at this stuff.
Yes.
That's like,
You're right.
wow. You think they follow that, and these guys don't learn?
I know they did. Because my professors were from the armed forces and and I've worked with people who are in units and stuff. So yes.
Wow.
When I do research, I try to make sure it's 100% accurate. I mean, I do my best to find the information. Yeah.
Well, I know you dive deep into this stuff. Let's see what hey, Voices with Vicky. Hey, baby. Hey, Peter, this subject is so important. I'd definitely check out this guy's stuff. Well, there you go. So you made a fan, Paul.
Right.
Here's what I want to tell everybody, because he does such a good job, and this is really his expertise. I strongly suggest, again, he's got this book. You can read the book. How informative by just reading this book? How much do you think people will get out of everything that you're kind of telling? Versus, does it wrap it up into a good bow or not?
I think it scratches the surface. If you want to learn more, I would say go to paulsutliff.com to buy the book. It'll take you to different places. I would also recommend you can go there and you can pick. My second book on this topic is called Civilizationjihad and the Myth of Modern Islam. Or you could just go to my YouTube page, which is the Sutliffian Report. Go there and you'll find some interesting stories. I do a 2-hour show at least once a week with a friend, some friends. And what we do, it's not the Sutliffian Report. We do a different show. And for the first hour, we just talk about the news. And that alone will just shock you. So
Well,
Thank you.
good. Okay. Well, again, if you want to find more information on what Paul does and the information that he gives you, that to me is pretty important stuff to know, because these guys don't mess around. They're serious about whether it's ridiculous or not. They take it very seriously, and they don't give a damn about you or me. And it's sad but true. And sadly, the women have to do what they say, otherwise they're dead meat as well. It just doesn't make a damn bit of sense to me. But go to paulsutliff.com, check out his book, check out his website, and the other books he has. Again, he's very well written, and like I said, I see him on LinkedIn a lot, talking, and I guess you're on Facebook and YouTube as well. And where else
Yes.
are you? Are you on Instagram or anything, or?
Rumble, I do Rumble, but I do not do TikTok. I do put out the updates on LinkedIn, Facebook, and I have a Telegram page as well called the Sutliff Report.
That's what I want to ask you. The whole time during the show, I'm trying to remember the name. There's a guy that's on Instagram and Facebook. He is extreme, goes out there and calls out these Muslims. He can't stand them. And I was trying to remember his name because I saw him this morning talking. I wanted to write it down and bring it to you to see if you were aware of him. He does videos out in the open and blatantly up in front of these guys' face, calling them out. And I can't remember his name.
I don't do that. I don't see any value. I'm a Christian. My goal is to bring people to Christ, not to sit there and argue with people. So I want to take time to develop a relationship to bring them to Christ. That's my goal. So my goal is not just to expose the evil, but is to show them the way out of the evil, which is to bring them to Jesus Christ.
But even if they're getting ready to stab you at the same time.
Yes. Well, you know what? I'm going to defend myself. If I have a gun, I'll take care of that problem rather quick.
No, I get that. But I mean, he just wants, like, he hates that they've infiltrated England and they've destroyed all these places. He says they destroy everywhere they go. And I mean, he's pretty blatant, outright calling them out. And, you know, for people to wake up to, like, we need to eradicate this problem, get them backward to their own, you know, where they belong, so to speak. And I just didn't know if you were aware of him, because he's very outspoken.
There's many who are doing that type of thing, and it's, I think it just doesn't serve as a wake-up call. If you can sit down and have a conversation, if you can show them, if you can show them what the truth is versus what, you know, maybe they've been told, and you can point out the errors in the Quran. I mean, some of them are quite hilarious. I mean, the idea that the Quran knows who Joseph is but doesn't know his brother's names. I can go on and on.
Okay, but in all your years, Paul, how many years you've been doing this?
15 at least.
Okay. Do you even think you're making a scratch with them?
Yes.
Are you with them?
Yes. Yes. In fact, at least one has come to Christ. So yes.
Okay, that's one. That's kind of like my
That's
fan
all that
base.
matters.
No, I go.
You gotta keep fighting for it. In fact, I actually teach other evangelists and stuff like that. So the idea is to get out there to teach, how do we do this? How do we reach people? How do we get the truth out? And that to me is more important.
Okay. All right. For those, again, wanting to get more information on Paul Sutliff, right here, go to paulsutliff.com. It can't be any easier. He's got this book, and how many other books you got, Paul?
I've got, and on that topic, I've got 3, but you also may want to, I have deep dive devotionals as well.
Right. I mean, you're a plethora of information, and I thank you for taking the time and spending it with me and my people. Again, it's just, I see it kind of the same way. Even when I get called names, I say, listen, if I wake one person up, you know, I'll take it. And it all starts from there. But that's a pretty hard, they're a hardcore organization. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, you're sometimes like they only know violence. They don't know being nice. And that's almost like the way you were saying about Canada and stuff like that. It's like, so more power to you. But I just ask the questions. That's all. I'm just a guy trying to figure this all out. But again, if you want to get more information on Paul, go to paulsutliff.com. It's a plethora of information, and he's all over the internet as well. And again, Paul, I seriously, I thank you for the time. If you got a couple minutes, hang out. If not, I'll catch up with you. And that's it. I hope that this show goes down and starts spreading to, you know, the word for a lot of people, and we're getting the message across. That's what we're here for. Anything else you want to say before we leave? Any last like word of wisdom?
Pay attention. Read the news. Don't watch it. That's what I would say. The stuff you're watching, I don't trust most of it. So read it. Find out for yourself. You'll find more details, and it's far better than being told half the story.
Yeah.
It's Sutliff. You got the U and the T backwards.
Do I?
Yeah. Sutliff.
Oh man, dyslexia. Oh my god. I'll fix it right now.
Okay.
My bad. There we go.
All right. Didn't even notice it.
I put Sutliff. Oh boy. Don't hold me for that one. There we go. Let me see if I got that.
It's funny when you read the news, you'll find a lot more details. And I say call people who write the news stories and ask questions. You will be shocked when there's an L after the T.
Oh, I left it out now. Okay, so yeah. This is a total. I just killed everything, didn't I? That's because I did it on the fly, and I said, "Oh, we'll be all right." I was just hauling ass to do it, and there we go. I can't. So let it be known that mistakes do happen, and it happened here first, folks. And let's try this one more time and see if we can put it up correctly. There. Oh, now look at now the eye moved over. Okay, I give up.
All right.
Okay, so we're having technical difficulties over here. Either way, I'm going to fix it right. You just bear with me. I got to. I'm hell bent. Maybe if I put my glasses.
Just rewrite the last.
I know I have to do.
I think it's the because it's the banner. I think it creates its own problem. I've had problems with the banners. So you just type my name in and .com. That's all you have to do. Just no space, and you're set. So you can just leave it there. You can see my name, how it's spelled. paulsutliff.com. There's a paulsutliff.blogspot. If you Google me, you will find all the information you need.
Okay, let's go. There we go.
There we go.
Ta-da! It's like, thank you. I apologize. My apologies. Now I won't sleep tonight because, again, a simple little thing like that, and I was looking at it, staring at it for hours and going, yeah, we're good to go. And again, another form of dyslexia on my part. But again, thank you so much. And if you can hang out, great. If you can't, and I'll just catch up with you tomorrow. But I just to finish up with you, give me a minute here to get off the air, and we're good. All right. There you go. All right. Wave to everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, right there in the flesh, the man, the myth, the legend, expert on Jihad with his book, The Cancer of Civilization Jihad. Get that book. All right, Paul. Thank you. And there we go. And it's all us right there. Wow. All right. It's spelled correctly now, folks. My apologies. Paul Sutliff. It's pretty simple spelling, too, but it's just mechanical skills, butterfingers. Right there, paulsutliff.com. You can get more information on him, and his books and everything is right there. All right, let's switch course right here. Don't forget, next week, it's just you and me, current events. I get to talk about anything I want to talk about, and there's a lot to talk about because the news is changing rapidly. There you are, MCF Senior. I thought maybe you left me. Thank you, sir. Great book. Thank you, Paul. Well, there you go. You didn't answer my question. Are you a CNN watcher, or what's your news station? Because we're just curious. Again, I love you. You tune in. You're right there. So thank you. And then we got Paul right there. The Sutliff Report. God bless. We need all the help we can get. All right, right there. And ta-da! What else we got? Okay, I want to tell everybody. Again, next week, it's just you and me. It's you and me right here. I don't even know what the date is because I wasn't even thinking about it. But it's just you and me. We're going to be out here. The news is changing so rapidly. I have so many things that I want to talk to you guys about right now that by the time I get to it, and that's the 25th, March 25th, next week, you and me, current events. Might open up the phones. Depends what kind of mood you guys are in, and we're gonna have a good information with a purpose right here, or entertainment with a purpose, and you don't watch the news all fake. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Just Paul was just trying to get a gauge as to where you get your information from, because I appreciate you with the questions, because if we all just nod our heads and agree with everything, then there's really nothing to be learned. But all good. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed today's show. A lot different than, this was like serious life business, hence Life of Peter G. But I just thought it was something that I don't normally bring on that deep, and it was time to go that deep because this is the world we're living in. So I hope you enjoyed it. I did. This guy spends a lot of his time, diving in and getting the facts straight with all this. So worth the watch. Share. If you really want to do me a favor, share with your friends, especially the shorts and all that. Follow all that. You can subscribe, follow, but sharing is really a big deal. You say, hey, check this guy out. It might interest you. Next week, there'll be a different topic. 1 week we're goofing around. The next week we're doing, this. The next week we're doing that. It's a variety entertainment show. Life of Peter G, the Peter G Show, by the way, every Wednesday like clockwork, 6 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Central, and 9 p.m. on the East Coast, God willing. And so far, so good. I want to thank everybody for watching. Don't forget, you can catch the shows on demand. If you miss the lives, there's over 400 shows to choose from. If you go to YouTube, they're in chronological order, except for the ones that they've taken down. There's about 12 to 18 shows that they completely pulled off the net because they didn't like the truth. But other than that, the shorts, everything's on Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn. The shorts are on Instagram, TikTok, shows on Rumble. We're all over the place. And again, if you can't watch the show, put an earbud in your ear, Google Peter G Show podcast. You can get the audio version and you can listen to the show on the go while you're walking, exercising, at work, because we all know work is boring. While you're driving in the car, all right? Do me that favor and please, please, please hit the follows, shares, and let's keep this ball rolling. It is definitely picking up momentum, and I appreciate it. And it's all because of you guys. So thank you. I love you. All right? That's it. For those in the cold parts of the United States, stay warm. It's summer is on its way. Well, spring will be on Friday, so get ready. And so far, we got the daylight savings time. And lastly, be kind. It's a rough world out there. Everybody's under a lot of pressure. Everybody's freaking out with, gasoline went up a couple of, cents, and it's all going to level out. Okay. It's all going to work out. We endured 4 years of way too much money for everything. And for some reason, some people think it was okay. It's just a bump in the road. Believe me. And just let's ride it out. If it gets really bad and stays really bad, remind me. I'll apologize publicly. Okay. But this too shall pass. My name is Peter G. Be kind. Don't take any crap from people, but you don't have to be an ass either. Okay. Just find that middle of the road. Life is short. Love is a real good word and it needs to be used more often. Right, MCF Senior? Love. I love you guys. One final comment. Let's go. There we go. God is Jesus. Thanks, Mr. G. See you next time, and see you next time. Right here on Life with Peter G, the Peter G Show. So again, I do love you guys. I truly mean it, and peace out.
Peter G Show, Peter G Show, divorced dad, single dad, divorced dad, single dad, Peter G Show.